Hello, good morning. It's Friday. It's story time with Miss K. Are you guys ready to read a story? This week's story is called In My Granny's Garden. I chose this book because we're in spring and it's raining a lot. So, what happens in spring? It's a lot of fruits and vegetables that are growing. It's a lot of flowers that are blooming. And trees are spreading pollen everywhere so things can grow. So, yeah, let's read about some stuff that grows in the spring that's in our granny's garden. Or maybe you have a garden. Let's continue to read. So, let's first go over the parts of the book. What do we call this part of the book? The front cover. And on the front cover, we will have the title. The author is the person who writes the words to the story. And the illustrator, it's the person who draws the pictures to the story. What part of the book is this? Has two names. It's called the spine or binder, and it holds the pages of the book together. And then this part of our book is the back cover. And normally we say the back cover will have a summary, a picture, or something that goes along with the story, right? But this time it's just a picture. So let's go back to the front cover. The front cover, our title of our story is once again, In My Granny's Garden. And then the story is written by the authors are Pearl Cleage and Zaron Burnett. And then the illustrator, the person who drew the pictures, is Radcliffe Bailey. Let's look at the front cover. We see somebody's hand is holding something. Do you want to find out what it is? Let's go. My granny is a superhero. No, she can't fly. She doesn't drive fast or jump high, but she has a superpower. My granny grows real food. In the city, we get our food at the grocery store. But my granny lives in the country. And when I say with her, we get our food from her garden. That's pretty cool. So, like how a lot of us, we live in the city, so we go to the grocery store. Like, can you name a few grocery stores we go to? Walmart, Kroger's, Publix. Did someone say Wayfield? Yes, there are a lot of grocery stores that we go to. But then she said her granny lives in the country. So I guess this is Granny, and then this is her, the little girl we're talking about. So she's telling a story about her granny. And they live in the country where they grow fruits and vegetables. Do you remember our garden at the school? Our garden was right there in the front by the parking lot. And we were growing strawberries, collard greens, and kale. I wonder how our garden is doing. Let's continue. She says the country is the place where our food used to live before it goes to the grocery store. She can grow everything I like to eat right in her own backyard. And that is true. Before a lot of the fruits and vegetables, or even the meat that we eat, get to the grocery store for us to buy, it's farmed in the country. Do you want to go online and check a YouTube video about farming? You can do that. corn, green beans, collard greens, cabbage, yellow squash, hot pepper, sweet pepper, pole beans, bright red tomatoes. She even has a blackberry patch. Granny's garden sounds like it's a lot. I heard a lot of vegetables in there and some fruits because the tomato is a fruit, just like the blackberry is. Mm. Whatever you like to eat at home, I'll bet my granny could grow that too. And it will be the best you've ever had. I tell her it's because she's a superhero. Granny says it's because she picks her tomatoes when you can still taste the sunshine in them. There it goes, you guys. We figured it out. This may be Granny's hand, and that's a tomato. Remember, we said, what? Whose hand is this, and what are they holding? Now we found out it's Granny's hand, and she's holding a tomato. Mmm. She gathers her collard greens when the dew is still making diamonds on their leaves. She brings her blackberries in after they've been kissed by the summer rain. She harvests her corn when it can't get any sweeter, and her chili peppers when they are so red they even look hot. So there goes a big word we just heard, harvest. Harvest means to pick them when they're completely done. They finish growing before it gets spoiled or before an animal gets them. Granny harvests, she picks them. Every morning we go to the garden to pull out the weeds and pick off any bugs we find. Sometimes Granny tells me how to grow things while we work. She says you plant in the spring when the ground is soft. She says you put these seeds in the dirt when the moon is full. So now we're hearing springtime is the best time to plant some stuff for your garden. And do you? Some of you guys probably went and done this with Miss Denisha or Miss Braswell when you guys went to the garden in front of the school building and pulled out the weeds. Because what did we find out about the weeds? The weeds are very harmful to our plants. It takes up all the healthy stuff from the plants. So we have to pick the weeds so our gardens can have some healthy stuff for it, right? Let's continue. I always sit, I always listen so that one day I can have a garden of my own because Granny says living in the city is no excuse not to grow something. That is true. We live in the city, but we're growing a garden right in front of our school. And there's another garden right next to our school. Sometimes Granny asks me what I've been thinking about, and I tell her. Granny says I can be anything in this world and to always dream big. I tell her I will. So you guys remember, you can be anything you put your mind to it. Make sure you always have a big dream though, because you never know. When the sun is starting to get hot on the back of our necks, Granny holds the basket and shows me what is ready for picking. I pick gently so I won't bruise anything. So when she says she won't bruise anything, it's because sometimes the fruits and the vegetables are very soft. So we can kind of either stick a fingernail and then it gets bad, or we squeeze it and it gets bad. So we have to be gentle when we're picking. When our basket is full, we take it inside and wash everything with cool water. Granny lets me have some blackberries while we decide what she will cook for our dinner tonight. Some blackberries. I wish I had some blackberries right now. I tell her I want pole beans and corn on the cob with lots of butter and sliced tomatoes and summer squash. And maybe she could fry some chicken and make a pan of biscuits to go with it. This is summer squash. And summer squash is like a pumpkin, because a pumpkin is squash too. So, anytime you see summer squash, make sure you think of a pumpkin. Or, we have zucchini squash for lunch sometimes. Of course, she says. And she laughs because we both know that making perfect biscuits is just one more of her superheroes. So Granny can make some perfect biscuits. I know some biscuits. Didn't we have some biscuits? Who do we buy biscuits from? When we get Chick-fil-A sandwich, you could get chicken biscuit. Or when you go to churches, you get biscuit with your chicken, or Popeyes or KFC. They have biscuits with your chicken. Or your mommy makes some biscuits in the oven. Let's see. After dinner, we sit on the back porch in Granny's garden. Looks all golden in the sunset. So Granny must have a huge garden. Probably bigger than ours, most likely, if she has a lot of fruits and vegetables on it. You won't see anything like this in the grocery store, Granny says, and she kisses the top of my head because her other superpower is love. So I guess this is the little girl and her siblings, and they're at Granny's garden, and they know Granny has a superpower of loving them. Our mommies and daddies have a superpower too. They love us, don't they? They love you. So, the end. You want to sing a song now? If you like that book, clap your hands. If you like that book, wiggle jiggle. If you like that book, if you like that book, if you like that book, clap your hands. Wiggle and jiggle. Shout hooray. Thank you for joining me for story time. See you guys later.